Just kidding. We totally will target with it. Okay, so yeah, so today we're on the final section, which is the retention marketing part. So already before we covered one of the main channels in retention marketing, which is remarketing, right? So now we're going to go into the other side, which is email marketing and some of the more advanced ways that you can retain people online. So first of all, let me ask you, I mean, why do people use email so much online? Like, why is it such an important tool? Does anyone know? Like, why do you think email is an important thing to focus on?
Because it's something that directly reaches you to your inbox.
Exactly, yeah.
People opt in for it.
It's also it's one of the only channels that's very robust in that it was here for 20 years and it'll probably be here for 20 more years, right? But that's not the case with Facebook. I mean, Facebook might be gone in like 3 years, you know, who knows, right? But email is something that you have that is actual, I mean, it's an actual thing that you can use. And I mean, there's a saying in digital marketing that like the best thing that you can get from someone online, like besides them paying you money, is to get their email address. Because it's the most valuable thing that you could get from someone because you can do so much with it. You can send them emails, you can remarket to them, you can do so much, right? So what I'm going to talk to you about is like, how to use email in a smart way to make it an effective part of what you're doing. Okay, so the first thing is, I mean, one of the most important things about email is it's the main retention channel when you're doing anything digital. And I'm sure many of you have heard this before, it's between 5 to 7 times more expensive to sign a new customer than to keep a current customer. And in the digital world, the main area that can allow you to keep a customer is to have their email address. It also has the highest overall ROI compared to any channel, besides remarketing. And everyone has an email address, except for Christopher Nolan. He's a director that never uses his email. But everyone else, besides him, has an email address. And if you also look from an ROI point of view of like different channels, like this was a study done by McKinsey, and they noticed that if you look at how much people spend on email, it's by far the highest in terms of ROI. So if you spend like $1 to get someone's email address, it usually gives you $40 back in return. Yeah, like per dollar that you spend. And if you compare that to other channels, it's by far the highest. It also, like people on average spend more time on their email than they do on any social media site. Because most people use email on their personal email address and for work. So if you look at the average working person, they spend more time in their inbox than they do on any social media site. Also, like one more slide about emails, about why it's important, is if you look at how much it costs you to get someone to click on your email, it's half the price of a Facebook ad. So what this means is, let's say that I run a campaign on Facebook to get someone's email address, right? So I do like a lead generation campaign. If I spend, let's say, $1 to get their email, that person, like, if I look at the average of how much it costs me per click, it'll only cost me 0.14 cents. $0.14, or like 14 cents per click, as opposed to just running a Facebook ad. And the reason is because once you have someone's email address, it's basically free to get them to come back to you again, right? So I mean, like it's like just an investment that you have to make once, like just to get their email address. Once you get it, it's like something that can keep paying back a lot in terms of what you're doing, because you can keep sending them emails at a very small price. And also, if you look at fraud clicks, if you look at the whole internet, it's around 30% of clicks are fraud, which basically mean like not just robots, but like people that didn't want to click on your ad, or people that are not your ideal customers, right? So like if you look at, I think that he showed a video of Gary Vaynerchuk where he said, like the Samsung ad, like people click on it. Like a study was done that showed that 30% of people click on an ad and they're not the ideal person that wanted to click on the ad. But if you compare that to email clicks, it's almost nothing. So I mean, like those are like the main reasons why people focus on email and why it's an important channel to focus on. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with the technical way that it works, but basically email has two parts. There's the sending part, and there's the part that goes to your inbox. So like the way that it works is you have some email clients, it sends the email out. I mean, if you look at a personal Gmail, like let's say I have a Gmail account and I'm sending to someone that's, I don't know, using Live or like some other website that has email. So what will happen is it'll send the email from the Gmail account, it'll go to the internet, and it'll then be sent to the person's Live account, right? I mean, this is like, yeah, like I'm sure most of you know this, but it's, I mean, like just keep in mind, because I'm going to come back to this later, that it's split into two parts. It's split into the sending part, which has its own server, and the receiving part, which also has its own server. And I'll come back to that later on, and you'll see why. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's say that I have a list of 5,000 emails, and I want to send them all an email. Can I send it from my personal email account? Like, can I send it from Gmail or from Outlook?
No.
Okay, why not?
Yeah.
So by default, Gmail has a cap, and all of them have a cap of like between 500 to 1,000 emails per day. So I can't just go into Gmail account and send the email. And the main reason is because of the bandwidth of the server, right? So if Gmail let everyone send out like all of their emails through Gmail, it would make their servers very slow. So that's why you have services like MailChimp that make you pay for the service, because they have their own servers that send the email out. So that's why they make you pay for those services, right? Also, if you send it out with your Gmail account, I can't format it in a nice way, right? I can't add a picture easily. I can't, make it look nice. So if I want to actually send out a proper email, I have to do it through some kind of an email client like MailChimp or like SendGrid or one of those. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, email is the highest converting channel out of all channels if you look at it from an average point of view. However, there are many drop-off points when you're sending out an email. And you have to take care of each of them if you want to be effective in how you send out emails. So I mentioned this on the first day, but I'll just go in more detail now. There's basically 4 levels of when you're sending out an email about where it reaches in the person's inbox, like until they actually click on the email. So the first thing is it has to pass what's called a hard bounce. Does anyone know what a hard bounce is? No. Yeah, hard bounce means that the email is wrong. So someone came to your site and they wrote, my email is, I don't know, bugsbunny@gmail.com, right? It's like not, yeah. So if they do that, then the email, it'll try to send the email, but it'll say, I can't find this email. Okay, so if the email is not correct, or it doesn't even, it doesn't exist, or if the website, let's say there's a company that closed 10 years ago, right? And their emails are no longer active. That'll count also as a hard bounce, because the domain is no longer active, right? So anytime that the email doesn't even work, that's called a hard bounce. Now luckily, most email clients take out hard bounces automatically. So if you use MailChimp or SendGrid or any mail service, they'll automatically take out all of the hard bounces. However, they won't show that in your final number unless you look at the details. So if you have a list of 1,000 emails, you might think that you have a low open rate, but maybe 1,000 of those emails are hard bounce emails. So you have to go and delete them, because it won't tell you that information unless you go in the details and take them out. So that's called a hard bounce. And who can tell me what a soft bounce is?
It goes to spam.
Yeah, or it does. Soft bounce basically means it doesn't get to their inbox. That could mean that it goes to spam. It could mean also that their inbox is full, or maybe you're sending them a file that's too large for their inbox, right? Or maybe the server blocked you for some reason, or it went to spam. But basically it means that the email is correct, but it's not entering the person's inbox. And that's the hardest one to worry about. And there's a lot of things that I'll tell you in a minute that can help you get through the soft bounce rate. Okay, once it gets to the person's inbox, your job is still not over. They have to open the email, right? So open rates on average are between 20 and 30%, on average. They could be higher, could be lower, and there's studies that show based on your industry. So if you want to look at your industry, let's say furniture, just look online, furniture open rates in email.
They give the estimation.
Exactly, yeah. So most clients give you some estimation of what is a good open rate, but it's usually between 20 and 30% if you have a healthy list. So if you have 1,000 people in your email and you're sending it out, maybe 200 or 300 of them will open the email. Okay, once they open the email, they still have to click on it, right? If you have an offer or you want them to do something. And click rate is between 2 and 4% on email on average. And that's 2 to 4% not on the open rate, but on the number of emails that go to the inbox. So if you it's based on the size of the whole list. So if you have a list of 1,000 people and you're sending them all an email, like I said, between 20 and 30% of them will open it. So maybe 200 or 300 will open it, and between 2 and 4% will click on it. So between maybe 20 and 40 of them will click on the email. Even though it has all of those filters that stop people from opening it, it's still one of the highest, I mean, it is the highest channel on average out of all of the other channels. And the reason is, for the reasons that we mentioned, that it goes directly to the person's inbox, and they spend more time and all of that. Okay, so what I'm going to teach you now are what are the things if you want to avoid these traps of each of these 4 steps. Okay? So the hard bounce, like I said, you don't have to worry about hard bounce because hard bounce is automatically taken out by your email client. However, you should go into your list and look at the details and make sure that you delete all of the hard bounces. So don't keep them on your list. You know, if they're not active, just delete them because it'll affect your open rate because it doesn't automatically delete them for you. I mean, like some tools might, but like also many tools don't do it. So you have to log in and make sure that you take out all the ones that have a hard bounce. Okay.
Question on the hard bounce.
Yeah.
Because every data that we collect is valuable, rather than deleting it, can we segment them into another list and probably at some point later retarget them?
You could, but I mean, like I said, hard bounce is not soft bounce. Hard bounce means that the email is not correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's not correct, then, you know.
But you could do that for a soft.
You could, yeah, of course. Yeah. So I don't recommend deleting soft bounces, but there's other ways that you can, you know, remedy it. Yeah. Okay, so like this, I mean, like now let's go into soft bounce. And soft bounce, like I said, basically means that it's in the inbox of the user. So if it reaches the inbox, then it passes through the soft bounce. So like soft bounce means that it didn't reach the inbox. And if you look at global, I mean, like this is one study that I told earlier, is you can look at, on the industry level, what is the average like soft bounce rate and how much of them actually go to the inbox. And there's studies that have been done across all industries. So if you want to see if yours is higher or lower than usual, then you can look at studies like this. And like I said, most of your clients will show you this number. They'll tell you your hard bounce number is this %, your soft bounce rate is this %. So they tell you how many of them are going to spam or not.
These are the bounce rates.
These are the, no, these are the ones that did not go down. I mean, it's the opposite of soft bounce. It's called the placement rates.
How many got
So
delivered?
yeah, how many got delivered to the inbox that did not go to spam? So I mean, on average, maybe it's like, I don't know, I mean, around like 10% on average might go to spam. Okay, so now what I want to talk to you about is the most important thing about soft bounce, which is how to avoid going to spam. Because that's one of the most important things that you need to worry about is how to avoid the spam filter. So what I like to tell people about this is it's all based on trust, okay? Like in any good relationship, it's about trust, okay? So if you want to have, I mean, like the more that, okay, so let me go back here. So the way that spam is caught is on the receiver's server. So it's not on your server, right? So what happens is you send out an email from your OML client. It gets taken to the server here. Then the server has to decide, is this trustworthy or not? If it thinks that it's trustworthy, it'll allow it. If it thinks that it's spam, it'll mark it as spam. So your job is to make this thing here understand that you're a trustworthy person, okay? So the first thing that you should know about it is that, I mean, one way of thinking about this is your trust is like a glass of water or like a glass of liquid, right? And every time that someone opens your email, it makes your trust go up. But the more people don't open your email, then your trust goes down. So that's the main factor. If you're sending out emails to people that don't want to hear from you and they're not opening your emails, then your trust goes down. And the main thing that makes someone open up the email is if they're interested in the subject line and if they, if they recognize who the sender is, right? So, okay, imagine that I send an email to all of you. You're more likely to open it than if you never met me before, or you have no idea who I am, right? If you just saw like a random message from Ahmed, like who the hell is Ahmed, right? Like you might not open the email, right? But if you know who I am, then you're more likely to open it from me. So like that's one of the first principles is you should only send emails to people that already know about you and they opted in to be on your list. There's ways to get people that never heard about you on your list, but that should be a separate strategy than your main list, okay? So that's the first thing, is you have to realize that it's all based on trust, and the more trust that you build, the stronger the server recognizes you as someone that's not a spam, and it'll not like put you in the spam filter. Okay, so let me tell you what are my top tips to avoid the spam filter. So the first one is you need to use a quality domain and an email address. And I'll explain what that means, but it's more of a technical thing. So a domain or an email could be marked as spam, right? So it's possible that AstroLabs.com gets marked as a spam domain. And it's possible that my email, Ahmed@astrolabs.com, gets marked as a spam domain. So the spam filter could say that, that the whole domain is spam, or they could say only a certain email is spam. So both ways are possible. So you have to make sure that your domain is one that is not seen as spam, so the email that you send on behalf of, and you make sure that particular email is not also spam. So those are the two things that you have to worry about. And I'll tell you what are the main ways that you can do that. So the first way is you have to verify your email and authenticate your domain. These are two quality things. I mean, they're more technical things. And usually it's done by your developer or whoever is a technical person on your team. So the first one, verify email. That's just to verify that you have access to that email account, right? So, okay, imagine that I'm sending out an email and I say that I'm Bill Gates at Microsoft.com, okay? So anyone can do that. That's called spoofing an email. Okay, so if you heard like the word spoof, that's what it means, okay? So spoofing an email means that I pretend to be someone else. So I could send you an email saying, I'm Bill Gates at Microsoft.com. And you have no way of knowing that it's me or not. So it's the spam filter's job to figure out, am I really Bill Gates or not, okay? And the way that it does that is it looks at the domain. Does the domain look authentic? And is the email verified? Okay, those are the two main ways. So the first way is the email client, it'll send you a verification email, okay? And like this is really easy. It'll just say, here's an email, click here to verify that you have access to this inbox. That's it. And I mean, that's like something anybody can do, right? So if I'm sending on behalf of Bill Gates, it'll say, okay, verify this is your email. We just sent you a confirmation email. Just click verify if you have access to this inbox. If you don't, it'll say, okay, this person is probably spam. So that's the first thing, is you have to verify that you have access to that inbox. Because I can pretend to send on behalf of Bill Gates his email, but I can't get his email unless I have his password, right? Or I hacked into his account. Like, does that make sense? Because I mean, I can pretend to be anybody, but I can't actually enter your inbox. And that's what hackers do, is they pretend like they're sending you an email from a bank, right? And then when you click on the link, it takes you somewhere else, and they like steal your information there. But they if you actually responded back to the email, they can't see the email because they don't have access to the bank's email address. But they can just pretend to be the bank, basically.
Have you the bypass in MailChimp? If you send an email to someone and they're using Gmail,
yeah.
They have that folder for.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that later, but basically, the only major way to do it is to have them add you in their address book. So you have to have more people add you to your address book. Or they add you as a contact. If they add you as a contact, then it avoids that. You could also try sending on behalf of people's. So you could say, hi, this is Sarah from wherever. Instead of sending on behalf of the brand, send on behalf of yourself. Like that also might avoid it. Yeah. Question? Okay.
Because when you say, sending on behalf of yourself, still using MailChimp, but then that's what I usually do. It comes from me.
And it still shows up in promotions?
For some
I mean,
people.
it could, yeah. I mean, there's also other things. So, like the way that it sees if it shows up as promotion is it looks at a few things. It looks at if you have a lot of images. Like, do you usually put images in the email?
Sometimes,
Yeah, so I mean, like it looks if it has images. It looks if it has the unsubscribe button. I mean, it looks for it looks for quite a few things. But I mean, it'll most likely end up in the promotion tab, but it'll be less likely to if you use your name. But the only real way to avoid it is to add you as a contact. Or if you have a large number of people that added you as a contact. If you have, like, I don't know, 1,000 people add you as a contact, then it's less likely for it to end up in that folder. Okay, so that's the first one, is you verify that you have access to that email address. The second thing is you want to authenticate your domain, which means that you have the authority to send on behalf of this domain. So if you're AstroLabs, you basically say, I am sending on behalf of AstroLabs, not on behalf of MailChimp. Because if you don't set this up properly, like if you don't, like if you're sending an email from, let's say, MailChimp, and you don't set it up properly, it'll say that this email was sent on behalf of MailChimp. It won't say it's sent on behalf of your domain. So if you want to do that, you have to do something called authenticating your domain, which is a technical thing that you just have to like have your developer add these different records in your domain profile. So it's basically, I mean, each of them is different, but there's, I mean, it's like kind of technical, so you don't have to worry about it, but you'll have someone else do it, whoever is your developer. Like just tell him that you need to authenticate your domain. So I mean, there's something called the DKIM record and all this. You can look it up. So, I mean, what I recommend is depending on what your mail client is, if your mail client is MailChimp, then just look up MailChimp authenticate domain. If your mail client is SendGrid, look up SendGrid, authenticate domain. So whatever is your email client, just like search for authenticate domain, and there'll be, instructions of what you have to do. Most of them are technical.
How to know if our domain
So like, the way that you see it is when an email is sent, it'll say this is sent from this person or from this company. It'll not say this is sent. So you'll see it. Let me open up my email address. I'll show you what it looks like. I wonder if I have it open already. I'll just open up a random. So like this is. I saw this movie yesterday. The Nun. It's a horror movie.
It's scary.
It's not bad, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the Conjuring universe. If you saw those other movies. Yeah.
Did you laugh?
No, not really. It was. I mean, there were some funny parts, but yeah, it was pretty scary. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't as good as Conjuring, but it was alright. Anyway, so like if you look at this, like if you click on this arrow, it'll say who sent the email. So this was sent by my wife's email address. Okay. But if it was sent on behalf of a company, this would say, like, if you don't authenticate it, it'll say this was sent from MailChimp, right?
Oh, okay.
If you look at the details here. But if you authenticate it, it'll say this is sent from AstroLabs, or from, Bowery Company, or from PR Dashboard, or from anywhere else, right? So if you authenticate it, then it'll know that you're sending on behalf of yours if you look at the details. If you don't look at the details, yeah, see, so you'll see this, mailed by this, right? I mean, this is a personal account, so it's, sent from Hotmail. But if you had, your company, you would want it to be sent from your company domain, not from, MailChimp. Right? Okay, so that's what you need to do. And yeah, I mean, there's, like, it's a technical thing. I mean, usually your developer does it. If you need help with it, let me know. Okay, so then those are the main things, is you have to authenticate it, right? Next is an alternate route that you could do is you could say, okay, I don't want to authenticate my domain because I don't have that much trust yet, or I want to use some other third party. And there are some premier services that are trusted services. So they're a lot less likely to go to spam. So like these are ones, like I said, that already have like a full cup of trust, So if you pay them more money, they'll basically send on your behalf, and it's much less likely to go to spam. Examples of this are one called Drip, also SendGrid as well, both of those. So like if you just compare two emails, if I send an email from MailChimp and I send an email from SendGrid, and I don't authenticate my domain, The one from either Drip or SendGrid is going to have a higher open rate and a higher, like less likely will go to spam. Because those are ones that are, they're more expensive and they're more trusted. Yeah?
What if you are in MailChimp and you are authenticated? How does that compare to sending from SendGrid?
Yeah, so in that case, yeah, it'll still be less than SendGrid or Drip unless you already build a lot of trust. So it takes a while for you to build trust.
But in Gmail, for example, MailChimp goes directly to the junk.
Not all the time.
Not all the time, but in the
Yeah, a lot of the time. Yeah. So if you're just sending, if you don't authenticate your domain on MailChimp, it's very bad. Okay, but if you authenticate it, then it gives you some chance, basically. But yeah, I recommend to also check out these because they have a high quality sender thing, and
are they more expensive than MailChimp? Or
yeah. So I think Drip starts at maybe $49 a month or $39. Around that. Yeah, but MailChimp is basically free.
But SendGrid on their site, if you send 40,000 emails for your first 30 days and then 100 a day forever, it's 0 a month.
Oh.
It'd still be.
100 a day means what? 100 emails or?
I don't know. It's still a lot.
I'm not sure, but yeah, it is like a stronger filter.
But Ahmad, I think SendGrid is mainly transactional.
That's the thing, yeah. Most of these are transactional. Like even Drip is more transactional.
Yeah. Like MailChimp is more of email marketing, newsletter.
Yeah, that's the thing also. We're going to talk about that later, but there's a few kinds of emails. There's automated emails or transactional emails, and there's like email blast. But they do let you send both. But just MailChimp makes it easier for you to send the normal emails. Okay. Okay, so the next thing, so those are the two main ways to make sure that you have a quality domain or an quality email address. So the first way is you could do it based on building trust through time, and you could do it by just using a high quality sender. Those are the two main ways. And the reason why these are higher quality is because they do one more verification step. So if I let's say that I have 1,000 emails, and I upload them onto MailChimp. It'll only take out just the hard bounces, but everything else it'll say fine. However, if I upload it onto Drip or SendGrid, it'll maybe delete, 30% of them. It'll say we don't think that it'll reach these emails. Because it has a much higher filter, it actually sends a test email, and it uses this service called Never Bounce. Have you heard about this one?
No.
Okay, so there's a service called Never Bounce. I'll show you to you now. It's a paid tool, but if you use it, I think through one of these, I think it's almost free. I think it's called Never Bounce. I think Never Bounce. Yeah, Never Bounce. So what it does basically is it's a service that lets you clean your list basically, and it sends out test emails to your list, and it's like one level deeper than MailChimp goes. So it'll actually send them an email and see if it goes in their inbox or not. But as a test. It basically pings the server, and it says it'll come here and it'll say basically, is this a am I going to spam or not, right? So it'll come here, it'll send a test email that the user doesn't see, and it'll see if that email went to spam or not.
Doesn't MailChimp do this when you send a newsletter?
They should, but it's not nearly as accurate.
Just to add on about MailChimp.
So this is better?
Yeah, much better. Yeah, much better.
What is it called?
It's called Never Bounce.
Never Bounce.
When you upload a list to MailChimp and there are a lot of hard bounces, they tell you that, okay, they send 50% of your emails to hard bounce, and if it's more than a certain percentage, they block your account.
Yeah, but the problem is, MailChimp only worries about hard bounces. They don't really do much with soft bounces. That's the problem.
But then you have to be really careful when you upload the thing, because otherwise you may face account holder.
Exactly, yeah. But this is going one level deeper where you go into the even soft bounce area.
So the best practice is always to use Never Bounce before a campaign?
It's a paid tool. I don't know if you always have to use it, but yeah,
maybe
it's a good tool.
Clean up your
Yeah, it's especially doing cleanup, yeah. So
cleanup?
Yeah. If you already have a list of 10,000 emails.
Oh, I see.
And you have a low open rate.
Yeah.
You would use a tool like that to see, which ones are valid.
I understand.
Because it's better to have, okay, would you rather have, 1,000 people that open your email, or 10,000 people that don't open your email? It's better to have 1,000 people, right? Because if they don't even open your email in the first place, what's the point? It's just like a vanity, metric, just to say, oh, I have 10,000 people on my list. But if they don't open your email, then what's the point? This should be step one. If you already have a list.
Is that integrated with MailChimp?
No, but it's integrated with Drip and a few others.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it says here, it says integrated.
No, you can integrate it.
Okay.
I think, I mean, it's not by default on MailChimp, but I think there's a way to integrate it with MailChimp. Maybe there's like a software that you have to install inside of MailChimp.
But, I mean, aren't they competitors?
No, because this doesn't send out actual emails. It only tests if they're good
So
emails.
just a testing purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Like just to see if the emails are good
They're
emails.
still valid.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what that is. Okay, next is, okay, so that's how you kind of verify that you have a good domain is use either, authenticate your domain and verify your email address, or use a quality sender like Drip or like SendGrid. Next is you have to make sure that you have a process in place where you're validating your emails as they're coming in. So if you're starting off, brand new, or you want to start building out your list and like make sure that you're doing it in the right way, you have to make sure that you keep building trust in your email list. So the main way of doing that is to have a double opt-in, and like that's what most people do. It's actually mandatory in the US and in Western Europe, and I think most of the EU, but it's not mandatory here. So here, I could take all of your emails and just upload them on my list. But if I was in some other country, if I did that, I might get sued. Because I cannot just take your email and upload it. I have to actually have you opt into it. So a lot of the mail filters, they look for this. They look for, does the person, do they want to be on the list? And one of the main reasons is to have an opt-in, it's called a double opt-in. So they, if they, if they come to your site and they enter their email to be on your list, they send you an email first, you click that you want into that list, and then they add you to the list. So this does two things. Number one is it makes sure that the people want to be on the list. And number two, it builds your trust. Because like I said earlier, every time someone opens your email, it builds some of your trust. So imagine that you have a certain amount of trust and you keep sending people emails and they have to open it if they want to opt in. Every time they open it to opt in, that builds your trust. However, if they don't open it, you just automatically don't even add them in the first place, right? So you take out that as a risk. Like if I send you an email and you don't open it, I just say, okay, then I won't add you to my list, okay? If they do opt in, then there's someone that opens their email address, so it builds up your trust. Okay, so I already talked about this already, but you should take out bad emails. Most email clients, you could use something like Never Bounced, like I told you, or you could use something, so even MailChimp has this feature where I can see, did they open up the last 2 or 3 emails?
Yes.
So I could say, okay, I've been sending this person emails for the last, 6 months, and they never opened the email, so I'm just going to take them off of my list. So, yeah.
MailChimp automatically detects whether if I have sent an email to you, you have opened it or not.
Yeah. So by default, all mail clients detect those 4 things. They detect hard bounce, soft bounce, open rate, and click rate. Those are done automatically through every single mail client. Okay?
But since the open rate is only 20 to 30%,
Yeah.
so how do you take out the bad emails? You take out 70% from the list?
Sorry?
You said the open rate is only 20
Yeah.
to 30%.
That's true. Okay.
So how do you take out the bad emails? So
Yeah,
that
no.
means
So you
30%
say,
haven't opened them yet.
yeah, so you say if they didn't open more than 1 email. So you say if they didn't open an email in 6 months. Because even though the bounce rate or even though that the open rate is maybe 20 or 30%, out of the other 70% that didn't open that email, they probably opened other emails. So every email, not everyone has good inbox management strategies.
Yeah.
There's something called inbox zero. Did you hear about it?
No.
It's a strategy where you basically, I use it for work. You should. It's more like a productivity thing, where if you get an email, you either archive it or you respond to it or you forward it to someone else to deal with. So I always do that. So I always have if you look at my inbox, I'll only have 5 messages, because every time I get an email, I have to deal with it. Either I respond back to it within 24 hours, or I delete it if it's spam, or if someone else has to deal with it, I'll forward it to someone else. Or I'll just deal with it later if it's a longer email. Anyway, but not everyone does that. So, if you look at some people, they have 50 unopened emails, or even more in their inbox, right? So not everyone opens. So if you send someone an email now, they might they might not open this email, But if you send them one tomorrow, they might open that one, right?
That's email OCD.
Yeah. So like that's the thing, right? So yeah. So I mean, what you want to look at is like, did they not open more than one email over a period of time? Like, did they not open 5 emails in a 6-month period, right? And if that's the case, then you'll take them off your list. Okay. Next, as I said, build your reputation, and this means like writing, improving your open rate by writing better subject lines, and like writing emails that people actually want to read. Okay. Also, like one thing that I noticed, especially if you have a large company, is have everyone add your like email address to their address book, right? So if you have a company, just say like all of the employees like add the email as a contact, because that'll also show the spam filter that this is a verified email. Okay, so I already talked about this. This is how you verify it. Yeah.
The previous slide isn't there in the.
Yeah, I think I have to up. It's in the.
It's not there.
It's in the first day.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah. Because I mean, I always add things to it. Like this is something that I just added recently. So it's in the first day one. I mean, it should be there. If it's not there, send me a message. I'll send it to you. But it should be in the first day. Okay.
What was the last one? Have your employees and customers at the company as a contact.
Yeah. So if you send on behalf of AstroLabs or on behalf of your company, just make sure that all the employees, from their personal email or from any email, just add it as a contact in Gmail or in Outlook. If you do that, it'll also build trust. Okay. So what do you think? Okay. So we talked about the first two now, and I mean what I told you basically is everything that you can do basically to make it avoid spam. Okay, but let's say that you avoid spam and it goes in their inbox. What is the #1 factor that they open it?
Subject line.
Yeah, subject line. So you have to write good subject lines. So think about your subject lines like an ad, kind of, right? So you want to do 2 things in your subject line. You want to give them a reason to open it, and you want to also build mystery. Like you don't want to give away everything in the subject line, because I mean that's a common mistake that I noticed that lots of people do, is if their email is about there's like a special offer, they'll just mention the whole special offer in the subject line. So the person reads it and they're like, okay, now I know the special offer, maybe I'll buy it, maybe I won't. Right? But if you say like here's something special for you, right? Like I don't know what it is, I'm like, okay, what's this special thing? Then you open it. Right? I mean, those are just like some psychological things that you could do, but in general, you want to write subject lines that people actually want to open, and that make them curious. Also, there's a few tools that you can check out that allow you to test out subject lines. So one of them is called subjectline.com. It's a free tool you can use, and if you enter any subject line on it, it'll basically test out if that's a good subject line. So if I write subjectline.com, okay. So like this is one example. So if I write let me write a bad one on purpose, like just to show you. So I'll say like, free gifts, now, like that, right? Like something that looks kind of spammy, right? Then if I click evaluate, it'll give me a score, and it'll tell me what I did wrong, basically. So there's, like it told me that I included too many exclamation marks. Yeah, it begins with the word free. I mean, like it tells me what I did right and wrong. That would, make someone not do it, right? So like, I mean, there's a lot of tools like this, but I mean, this is one that I use sometimes. So I would, think about a subject line. I would put it here, see what the score is, and optimize it based on that. And there's a bunch of other ones as well.
What is something out of it?
No, unfortunately not, because no one made one yet. So I mean, that's a good idea for a company. If someone, I mean, like I actually mentioned that before. If someone made one in Arabic, like you'd be the first one. And I mean, it's a good idea for a company, because no one did it yet.
For what?
Like to test email subject lines in Arabic.
Do people? Oh, there's nothing available? I'm kidding.
I didn't find a single.
Realistically, do people actually read emails?
Seriously.
Yes.
No, I mean they open emails. I mean there has to be like some sort of an interactive body. You know what I mean? But if you're writing a long email, you think people with this low attention span are gonna read it? They're not gonna read it.
I mean, at least open it though. They'll at least open it. They'll
Yeah,
at least
open it,
open
but
it.
then what? Is that the action you want?
No. I mean, like we didn't get to click yet. We're just talking about opening.
Yeah, I'm just saying that for me personally, in my experience, the most effective email campaigns we've made were the ones that actually has just one design in the middle of the email.
Yeah, and a simple call to action maybe, right?
Simple call to action. That's it. With an hyperlink or like an active.
Like a warm, genuine email with a CTA.
Okay, this is one link that it's no longer active, I don't think, but yeah, I mean, like this is one that you can also use in English. It's a little bit more advanced, but it's also in the slides. But you could look for this, like, you know, free event today, right? I mean, like just write a subject line, and it'll tell you you can choose what is the industry. So let's say this is business professional services, and it actually looks at if it's, I mean, like it gives it a score. Is it empathetic or not? And it like tells you, you know, from like a, I don't know, like a psychological point of view, is it a good email? So I mean, like this is too short, so I have to make it longer. So I'll write. Automatic. Wait. What happened? I think I made it too long. Yeah, see? So it gives me a score from 1 to 100, and it tells me, I mean, like this is something, I don't know if like anyone's like studied marketing, but like it gives you something called a emotional marketing value for your words. Like it gives it a score of how likely someone is to resonate with this message, basically. Yeah, so like that's another tool that you could look at. And it looks at like what are the most common keywords people usually use in messages when they're sending out messages. So like those are two that I recommend. Is this one called it's by the Advanced Marketing Institute, and the first one is the subjectline.com. Those are the two that I recommend. And in Arabic, yeah, no one built one yet, but it's a good idea. Okay, so then once they open it, they have to click on it, right? So there's hold on a second. There's something that I'm sharing with you in the slides. It's called 37 email marketing tips, it's called. So like this is one that I shared with you. And I mean, once they open it, you have to think about how can you get them to actually click on what you're offering. And I mean, that's where you go into everything that we mentioned earlier about, you know, having a call to action and, you know, like having something that you want them to click on. But like these are some ideas that they give you. So yeah, I mean, like there's some rules here, like stop talking about your list, you know, don't waste people's times, like give them something useful that you want them to click on. I mean, like this is one that I mentioned earlier, use your actual name. I mean, that also works better. If you say that you're Sarah from somewhere.com, it's a lot better than if you just say, you know, I'm from AstroLabs. Because people, you know, will think of you as a person more than if you just say that you're from a company. And yeah, and there's a lot of, yeah, like just some things here. Yeah, I mean, I just recommend that you read it. But I mean, in general, it's just about, you know, like making it where you give them something relevant. And like you said, don't have too many call to actions or too many messages. Just try to keep it simple. Like oftentimes, especially e-commerce companies, they basically send you an email that's a whole website, you know? There's like 30 links in the email. You know? It's like, I mean, you should have your emails be a lot simpler. And the best emails actually that work the best are plain text emails, not even with any images.
No links.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe like a couple links, but just no images at all.
Yeah.
Those do the best. If it's just only a text, like, hi, this is, you know, Ahmed, and like there's a special offer today, and you know, here's a link to it. That does the best. I mean, it does better than if it's a really professional graphic that's done by a, you know, professional graphic designer. Yeah. It'll do better than that because it seems more personal.
It's really weird, but true though.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been able to do that in MSHA, for example.
Well, we did it. No, I mean not. I mean back then, no. I mean they might have tried it since then, but I don't think so. I mean a lot of them though they have like processes already in place. So they want to do things a certain way, and they want to, like, they have agreements with, you know, certain brands where they have to feature them in the newsletter, you know, with the image and with all this. So there's some, you know, I mean, there's some limitations if you're in a company like that, because they sign agreements with people where they're forced to do certain things.
But even if, let's say you have the green light to do whatever
Yeah.
you want, but like, it's, I mean, if it's an e-commerce website and you got an email from them.
Yeah, I mean, e-commerce is one of the industries where it might make sense to use images. I mean, e-commerce is one where you can make a case where it's better to use images, or at least
the retargeting and purchases and
yeah. But I mean, in general, though, even if you use images, it's better not to have like so many images. You know, maybe like, I don't know, 5 or something, but not like 30.
Well, now she's not that offensive, huh? They're not that offensive. Like, if I buy something from Amazon, like the next day I'm getting a lot of emails and like retargeting, oh, buy this product. But now they're not that aggressive.
I mean, I guess compared to Amazon, but I mean, they're relatively aggressive.
I'll have to stop you here
Yeah.
because I told you that in the second class. I bought like 2 things from Namshi, and they are bombarding me everywhere. And my applications and my blogs and my website everywhere. Namshi,
Like-
Namshi, Namshi.
Yeah?
Namshi.
Like maybe like you don't
Same.
fit the customer profile that they want, you
like
know?
2-3 months ago, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe they changed the strategy.
Okay,
But where are you
How about
going?
videos?
Huh?
videos. You can't have a video play in an email. You can only have a GIF or a GIF.
How
Or
do you do
email.
GIF?
You just have to paste it as an image. So I mean, you just insert it normally.
Mm.
I believe only Outlook does not, Outlook or the email clients that come with the
Oh,
device.
yeah,
I just opened an application just to show.
Yeah. So like I mean, how people usually have video is they either. Guys? Okay, so they either have an image that just has a play button on the image, and you click on it, then
It's a link.
yeah, then it's a link. Or also, if you're using like Gmail, if you link to a video, it'll include it on the bottom as an attachment. I don't know if you ever saw this before.
Will it play in the mail or it will take you outside?
No. It'll open on the bottom of Gmail
But even if I open
as kind of an attachment.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, you probably saw this. Wait,
I mean,
I'll
it's a
see.
link.
But it's a
It's a link, but it gets converted into an attachment.
these people.
I mean, that's the only way that I know that you can include it.
Do you think this is, I think this is gonna change, there's no way that they're not gonna adapt and start including video. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I know other than Outlook and whatever the Safari thing, Gmail does allow for embedding videos now.
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe if you, I don't know. I never saw it personally. Like, can you show me an example maybe after the class? Because I never saw this myself.
I'll show you.
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I know that you can have a like a
Link.
GIF running,
Yeah, GIF
or you can have a link to a video,
Mm.
or if you include a link, Gmail will automatically show the YouTube link, like on the bottom where you can play it. But as far as I know, I mean, unless you attach a video as a file,
No.
I don't know a
Embedding.
way to. I don't know a way to embed it. And even if you can, in general, also like spam filters also like the more images and videos you have, the more like the more likely it is to go to spam. So it's better to have less images and less videos. And also, videos usually have large file sizes, right? So attaching a video is a bad idea in general if you're sending it to thousands of people, because it might be too large for their inbox and it'll be more likely to go to spam. So yeah.
Is there any benefit to having using GIFs? Like, does that increase your?
Yeah, I mean, it does make it look cool. Yeah, there's no harm in using GIFs. Yeah.
But it's not like that. There's some kind of, I don't know.
It's only for the
stats
user
to-
experience.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same as using a. I mean, as far as the mail client is concerned, it's just like using a normal image. There's no difference.
Are there websites who rent like a GIF, like?
Yeah. I mean, you
Like
could there's one
Shutterstock,
called
for example.
like GIF Creator. It's called like you just upload your own images and it like makes it's called I mean GIFmaker.me.
Even Giphy.
Yeah, I mean this is one that also lets you do it, and I mean what's nice about them is they have a database of images, so I could search for
I use this one.
yeah, and you make your own
Yeah, of course.
So you could look
The
for like
largest.
I don't know happy, right?
Those were so funny, those ones.
So I mean you can like search for happy and find ones that people like other people made and just include them, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I think the smartest thing that Insta Stories ever did was include the link to this.
Yeah.
Giphy, yeah.
Yeah, it's also in Twitter and like a lot of others as well. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so in general, yeah, like I said, I mean, Include less images if you can. And okay, so next I want to ask. Okay, so the next thing, like I said, is we want to be able to keep building out our list, because, like I said, it's the most valuable thing that you can get from someone online. So these are like the top ways that I found that most people get people onto their list. So the first way is people that are customers, right? If anyone buys from you, you usually get their email, especially online, right? So anytime someone's a customer, it's basically, I mean, it's almost taken for granted that you add them to your list. Next is have a form, right? So have some kind of a form on your website where they can contact you, or even a pop-up form where it pops up and you can show them, what you're doing. And oftentimes, like, this can be paired with something called a lead magnet. Does anyone know what a lead magnet is? No? Okay. So think about it this way. I want to get someone's email address. But in order to incentivize them, yeah, I want to give them something for free, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it could be, I mean, for us, I mean, like some of you might have seen from AstroLabs, if you sign up for our course, we have a lead magnet where we give you like a discount code and a sneak peek into the workshop. Like, have any of you gotten that? Yeah. So like that's a lead magnet basically. So you sign up to learn more about the course. We send you an email. We get your email address, and we give you a discount code, which is like a lead magnet, and we give you a small presentation that you can look at. What is in the course. So it depends on what you're offering. If you're an e-commerce store, maybe it's a discount code. If you're a, I don't know, consultancy, or you do, infographics, let's say, you could say, enter your email to get our 10 infographic tips, right?
Oh, nice.
Or like something like that, right? Like something that would make them want to enter their email. Because, I mean, most people won't just give you their email unless you're giving them something back in, return for it. Also, pop-ups, there's something called a smart pop-up. Nowadays, I mean, people find pop-ups annoying, but there's a lot of tools that are smart. So what they do is, like, we have one on our side where it only pops up if it sees that your mouse is going towards closing the browser. So it'll only pop up if it thinks that you're leaving the site. That's called a smart pop-up. Yeah.
I have tested that on our website,
And
but it's just a screen where your website is, anything we go over it.
Okay.
It just gives a pop-up, but anytime the mouse goes on the tab, it just pops up.
Yeah, I mean, like, what tool did you use? Like, what's the tool called?
I mean, this my developer has done.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, like, there's different ones that do it in different ways, but I mean, yeah, yeah.
MailChimp has a plugin that does it for you.
In a smart way, are you sure?
Yeah, so you can choose 5 seconds on the page, or you can choose they're not scrolled or.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, all that is possible as well, right? And the one that I recommend personally is one called Sumo. So this is the one that we use for our site. It's one of the most popular ones. And what's nice about Sumo is when you install it, it gives you a bunch of other features. So I'll just show you, because we don't have much time, but I'll just show you how it works if you want to use it. So I just go on sumo.com and I create an account there. And when I do, it'll give me a piece of code. I mean, like we did with analytics, right? Like, it'll give me some code, and I can add it to my site either through Google Tag Manager, or I can just go in the code and just paste the code there. And I put it on all pages. When I do that, it'll give me a bunch of features. So I'll show you some of the features that it does. So one of them is if I go on one of our pages, like this is a page for an upcoming workshop we have. It's a coding bootcamp. It's like a 2-month program that we have. You'll notice here that if I scroll down, where is it? So I think I'm too zoomed in. I don't see it. Yeah, I mean, like this is like a pop-up. Yeah, like it just popped up. But there's something else I wanted to show you. I don't see it here for some reason. Let me go. Like, maybe because I'm already logged in. Let me try a different page. I'm pretty sure it's on this page. I think because I'm logged in, it didn't show at that time. So like this is this course that we're in now. Yeah, so you'll notice here on the bottom there's like a share box, right? That's part of Sumo also. It also has that feature where it adds a share box to like to your site, and that makes it a lot easier for people to share things. So it connects to everything. I mean, it connects to WhatsApp, to Twitter, to all this, and it gives you like a count of how many people shared all of your things. That's also something that Sumo has. So all of that is something that you could look into. And yeah, I mean, Sumo is a really good tool that helps you do that. And it's really easy to install. I just have to install the tracking code, and it does everything for me. And it has that smart pop-up that I mentioned. So it's a really good tool. And it connects with almost everything. It connects to MailChimp, so it can send your email automatically into MailChimp. So like the pop-up pops up, they enter their email, it automatically gets sent to MailChimp or whatever is your email client. Okay, yeah, and like next is oftentimes people actually set up, or they set aside part of their budget to actually run campaigns to do lead generation, to build their email list. So I think you should spend at least a portion of your budget. I don't know how much, like, I mean, it depends on how much your budget is, but maybe like, I don't know, 10 to 20% of your budget should be spent on like just gathering email leads. Because like I said earlier, if you look at data that was done on this, even if you spend money on getting that email address, in the long run, it'll cost you less money per click because they become an actual subscriber.
So like ads with the form?
Exactly. So I mean, like in your case, you could say like enter your email.
Sign up and get 20%.
And like get 20% off, right? And then you get their email, which is something that you permanently have now. And, you know, you like send them off.
How do you do this kind of ads?
I mean, Facebook has the option, the lead generation one.
The lead generation.
Yeah, in Facebook. Or you could just have it on your site. Like you could land them on your site, have a form on your site. It depends on what you do. But you could do a lead generation campaign either on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of these channels. And instead of sending them to a landing page, you keep them on Facebook, and they enter their email on Facebook, and they automatically, so I mean, Facebook now also integrates with all of the mail clients. So you can actually link MailChimp onto Facebook. If you like just go to your page settings. So if someone enters their email on Facebook, it'll automatically add them to your MailChimp list. It's just like, if you just look, I mean, you'll find how to do it. It's just in your page settings. I mean, all you have to do is like just connect it, basically.
How effective are newsletters? Because that's traditionally that's the way one would get subscription and have the email IDs.
Yeah.
Are they dead? Dying?
You mean as a new email? Like how would that work? No, but how would that work? I mean, like you have to have their email in the first place.
What's the way to go?
No, so you could
I'm talking about getting.
You could have a subscribe button where you request the user.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but yeah, I mean, there's basically two kinds of email, and I'll go over that in a minute. Okay.
Many things, but definitely not newsletter.
Okay. So the next thing you should keep in mind is you want to like somehow segment your list. So this depends on your industry and what you're selling and all this, but it's important to somehow segment them because not everyone on your list is the same. And this is actually how you get actual data into what you're doing, is by segmenting them. So you might have it, okay, I'm going to segment people by, you know, if they're men or women, or if they're in a certain country, or if they like certain products. And basically each of these are ones that you have to define, and you have to gather it from the user somehow. So it's a trade-off between asking for too much and not getting enough data. So I mean, imagine that you were running, let's say, a Facebook lead generation campaign, and you want to get people's email addresses. You could just say, okay, enter your email to join our list, right? And I mean, that would give you more emails because there's less friction, because I only have to enter one field, which is my email field. However, if you need more information for some reason, like let's say I want to know if they're male or female, because I have two offers, one's for male, one's for female. I'll have to also ask them, what is your gender? If I want to know what is their first name, so I can say, you know, dear first name, when I send them an email, I'll have to also ask them for their first name. But every time I add a field, it makes the friction of signing up higher. So my conversion rate will be lower, like the more things that I ask. So it's a trade-off between asking too much and not asking enough, you know, like where you know about them. So I mean, like one case for us is if someone wants to sign up, you know, and like join their company here, there's a field where they can enter their company name. So like some pages we like took off that field because we noticed that most people, like they sign up from their company email. So I already have their company name in the email field. So I don't need to ask them for their company again, right? Like even like someone's name. Like oftentimes if they're like if it's a business email, they'll have their name in the email address, right? So I don't have to ask them for the name again. So I mean, it like all depends on what you need to know. Like also like maybe country. If I'm running a campaign only for the UAE, I already know that they're in the UAE, so I don't have to ask them, you know, what is your country? So like think about how can you get information automatically in a way where you don't have to ask them for every single thing.
But I think we can automatically detect the country of the user on the website.
You can detect that from their IP address. Yeah, I mean that's one that you could do automatically. Yeah, that's true. If you have it set up, yeah, like it'll get it from their IP address. But I mean certain things like what is their, you know, birthday, I can't know that unless I ask them.
Is there any software which like we use Outlook? I have in the email several different customers. So automatically, is there any tool which will fetch all those customers and segment by country, by customer, etc.?
No, unfortunately no. I mean how would it know though? How would it know what their country is? Just from
forget country.
I don't think so.
Even
No.
to migrate it or export it to one place where.
Yeah, if you already have it somewhere, yeah, you can export it.
He doesn't have it in the contact list. It's just when you are typing it's auto.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. That's your address book,
Yeah.
basically. So you can download your address book in Outlook and upload it onto MailChimp.
But
You
it's
could
not
do.
saved.
But it's not saved in the address book also, right?
It's just a feed when you are sending using an Outlook. The Outlook, it's smart. It remembers the.
Okay. I mean, you could do it like there's tools. I mean, you could look for scraping tools, like search for Outlook scraping. You might find a tool that can do it, or you can hire someone to do it for you. Like they'll spend like the whole day just doing it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, to segment again. I mean, like not all your buyers are the same. They're at different also stages in their funnel. Like maybe someone is, you know, already bought. I mean, like for us, like maybe someone, you know, like one of you already bought a course, right? So if there's a new course, maybe I'll just tell you, by the way, there's a new course. But if someone is still not convinced if they should even come to a course, then I'll have to send them like a different kind of email, right? So it depends. I mean, people are at different stages in the buying journey. Okay. Okay, I want to kind of skip over this for a second. I'll come back to it. But basically, there are two main types of emails that you could send to people. The first one is a standard email, which like most of you know about, which is also known as a newsletter email. So if I have all of your email addresses, I'll send you maybe like, I don't know, like a monthly newsletter saying, by the way, you know, this is what happened, these are the updates, there are these new products. And like that's what most people think about when they think about email marketing, is they think about only newsletter marketing. However, there's a whole other side, and like this is becoming more popular than the other way now. It's automatic emails. Those are also known as transactional or drip campaigns. They're basically emails that allow you to do things in a much more targeted way. So instead of sending the same email to 1,000 people, I'll maybe send 1,000 different emails to every single different person, depending on where they are in the journey and all this. And I'll show you like how you can set that up. Before I get into that though, let me talk about the first way, which is the old-fashioned way. So a standard email, I mean, you include things like, you know, updates, promotions, products, and it has to be done manually, right? So you have to go and actually make it, blah, blah. I mean, like this is mainly used for if you just want to send people, if there's like a new product update and you want to send it to your whole database, or if let's say there's, I mean, like you share company news, or, I mean, for us, like sometimes we send out emails where we tell people, oh, you know, by the way, this month, like now we have a new location in Dubai, there's new courses, blah, blah, and it's like generic, right? It's for everybody. Yeah, and I mean something that you should know about emails is it's built in HTML. So HTML is the language of the web, is how you build out websites. Emails are also built in HTML. So if you know HTML, you can build your own website, and there are a lot of templates online where you can build it on your own. But nowadays, you don't really have to do that anymore because most mail clients, like MailChimp, let you do your own emails, right? So they let you send out emails on their own, right? And they have built-in templates where they let you customize everything.
Maybe like responsive.
Yeah, and I mean towards the end, like when I finish, we're gonna do it together. So I'm gonna show you what are all the steps and things to think about when you're creating an email. Okay, one more thing that's kind of cool that's I mean, it used to be popular, now it's not as popular. It's something called image mapping. Has anyone heard about this before? Image mapping? No. Okay, so imagine that you have, I don't know, like this is your, like, it's like one image, right? And I want to send people somewhere if they click here versus if they click here. And it's like the same image. So I can have multiple links on the same image if I use something called image mapping, which is basically I can draw a link around a certain part of the image. So I could say, okay, if they click here, I want them to go here. If they click there, I want them to go somewhere else. Most of the time, people don't do this anymore because, first of all, it's a bit complicated. I mean, you could do it using something called Dreamweaver, which is like Adobe tool, or you can use like a tool like this, like imagemaps.com, and you can do it online. However, people don't use it as much also because most emails nowadays have more text than they have image, and they want to include some image and some text, because if it's too much image, it's more likely to go to spam. So that's why most people now, they like split up their images where they have, like, if it's like one image like this, they would say, okay, this is one image, and like this is text, it's not an image. This is an image, this is text, that's image, that's a text. Because if they have more text than they have image, then it's less likely to go to spam. Okay, so let's go over the last section, which is drip campaigns. So, like, let me give, yeah, so I mean, as we mentioned here, there's two main types of campaigns, right? There's standard campaigns, which are, like, everyone knows about, just sending out an email to someone. And there's an automated email campaign, or otherwise known as a transactional email or a drip campaign. So let me give you some examples of how this works. So the first thing is, imagine you have a list of 1,000 people, let's say, and you want to send them all an email in a smart way, like using a drip campaign. So what I could do is I could say, okay, like one case of this is, let's say that I go to a conference, like I go to GITEX, right? And I have a list of like 1,000 business cards. I want to see, are these people actually customers, or are they people that would be interested in my products? So what I could do is I could send them all an email, and then depending on how they respond to the email, I'll automatically send them a different email. So let's say that I have a list of 1,000 people. I'll send them one email. If they open it, I'll say, okay, it was nice meeting you, let's set up a meeting, or here's more information about our product. If they don't open it, maybe I'll wait like 1 week and I'll send them one more time, like I'll follow up with them again. And if they don't open it, I'll just delete them off of our list. So it's a way to automate your emails in a way where you can, like this is one example, where you can like basically qualify your leads in an automatic way. It's called the drip campaign in this case. And there's several different kinds of drip campaigns that you could do. This is just one example. It's called lead nurturing, which is if you upload like a list of leads, it'll nurture them and it'll figure out who's a cold lead and who's a hot lead.
Actually, it's in the CRM. It's called email automation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, all of these technically fall under automation. Like they're all, automation or automatic tools. But yeah, I mean, people call them in different ways. Either a drip campaign, because you're slowly dripping out your message, like you're not sending all of it at one time, or a transactional email, which is based on something that they do on the website. So these are other examples of drip campaigns. You could do, like the one that I showed you is a nurturing lead, where you send them slowly, and you try to like see if they're a qualified lead. You could also do a welcome message. So like if you send a welcome message, it gets open almost 60% of the time, as opposed to 20 or 30% from other emails. So if someone joins your list right away, it's a good idea to send them a welcome email saying, welcome to our list. Here's everything you should know about us. Here are, like some links to get you started, all that kind of stuff. Also, onboarding emails are also ones that fall under this. So if your product is a bit complicated, or it has like lots of things, you could have an onboarding email. So you could say, okay, I want to send them an email today. Then after 3 days, I'll send them a follow-up email about like some other feature. Like let's say it's like AstroLabs, right? Like someone joins AstroLabs, so I could say, okay, today, like like this is where the parking is. Then after like 2 days, I'll automatically send them an email. Like this is how you use the coffee maker, right? Or like I mean, something like that, right? It's a way to onboard people onto your product if you have a more complicated product. You could do also abandoned shopping cart emails. This is like remarketing, except remarketing doesn't need the person to log in. But abandoned shopping cart emails, the person has to log in because you have to have their email address. So it's the same thing. I mean, like you said, Amazon does this very well. If you add a product to your cart, they'll send you an email almost right away saying, by the way, you forgot to check out. But this only works if you have their email first. If you don't have their email, there's no way of doing it. You could also do recommendations. Also, Amazon does this where automatically it'll try to, I mean, like these are kind of similar. Like either have people, you know, re-engage with your product or recommend like other products. So if I buy something from you, you know, this week, maybe next week you'll send them an email saying, by the way, you know, people also like these items. Or let's say that I'm what's called a dormant customer. So I'm a customer that I didn't buy for maybe 1 year. So you could say, okay, like we noticed that you haven't bought for more than you know, 1 year. Here's a discount code, and you know, like some things that you might want to buy. So there's different ways that I can re-engage with them based on what they do before. Also, yeah, if you have an online course, that's something else. Also, unsubscribe. So this is something that people often, it's a missed opportunity that, I mean, some people do it in a funny way. Like if you unsubscribe, they send you an email saying, you know, like, yeah, like sorry to see you go. Yeah, you can still follow us on Facebook, right? Or like something like that, right? And like there's a funny one you can watch by the guy from HubSpot. Like, did you see this before?
No, yeah.
Okay, it's a quick video, so I can play it for you. Basically, if you unsubscribe from HubSpot, he'll send you this video. It's pretty funny. I mean, that's just one example that that you could.
Do you recommend using HubSpot?
Not really.
Yeah. What's the reason?
I mean, you could, but
Hootsuite is better.
not. I mean, okay,
it's
HubSpot.
Expensive, huh?
No, HubSpot is all-in-one solution. So what it does basically is it lets you create landing pages, it lets you send emails, and it lets you and they give you all of these tips. But if you're doing it separately, it's a lot cheaper. So it's much cheaper for me to, you know, create my own website and use something like MailChimp. I'll pay, you know, maybe 10% of the price, and I can have more control over what I'm doing. HubSpot is good if you like just want to get started and you like want to have, you know, one place to manage all of these different things that you're doing. I mean, again, I mean, I don't say that it's bad, but you can do things in a more effective way if you know what you're doing, and you can do it much cheaper. Yeah.
Sorry, do you need to have a dedicated database software that can manage all of this, rip from date and all of that, what you mentioned?
Not necessarily database software, but some email client software. So you have to use something like MailChimp or SendGrid or one of those. Otherwise, you can't do any of this stuff. I mean, I can't just have an Excel file, right? I have to use some kind of a software, either HubSpot or MailChimp or like one of these, right?
But MailChimp canceled one of the most amazing features they used to have before.
Which is what?
I think it's because of privacy policy. Before you just put an Excel sheet of like 20,000 emails and they'll just arrange it and then send the emails. Now you have to verify manually.
Not really.
Yeah.
I recently uploaded a list and it worked.
So
Maybe if you're a new account, I mean, because I recently uploaded like 2,000 emails and it just added them.
Is 3 years old.
But what happened? Like you tried to upload what kind of a list?
You cannot just bounce an email campaign. It has to. It takes only verified emails. I have the paid version.
I'm not sure then. I mean, because I just uploaded a list of 2,000 people and it worked, like just last week.
Did you go with the documentation?
Yeah.
Like,
You said we have to segment the database, right?
Yeah. Segment your email list, which is what.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it on MailChimp even. Yeah.
Yes. But then in MailChimp, you have to upload depending on your segments.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, I'll show you how to do it, but on your list, you choose what are your segments. As long as you're getting that information from the user, you can add it. If they're male or female, or what their birthday is, all that stuff. Sorry, just.
You don't want to hear from me anymore. That's fine. I wanted to make sure you had the best marketing information available. I mean, you clicked on the emails. You know, I saw. I know you clicked on them. I know what you clicked on. Okay, that sounds kind of creepy. I wasn't like cyber-side. Like I wasn't checking out your Facebook page or anything like I was, just forget that part. Just forget that part. It was a notification. I didn't even look for it. It popped up. Oh, it's definitely over. It's definitely just blew through. Remember when we had that webinar? Remember? You know, maybe if things were just a little, maybe I could change. I could change. I don't have to. You don't need email. You could. I mean, I'm on Facebook, Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn a fair bit. I mean, we could be friends with benefits, right?
Yeah, I mean stuff like that. I mean that's a creative way to do
Yeah,
it.
but he can't send that to this video.
No, but he'll link to it. It'll be like a link. Then you click on it, and then you open it.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. Anyway, yeah. So these are some tools that allow you. Like these are the top ones that I recommend that allow you to use drip campaigns. So I mean now MailChimp lets you do this as well, and I'll show you how to do it together. Drip is one of my favorite ones. Like mainly because, like I said, it has high quality sending rates.
Which one's more user friendly?
Definitely MailChimp, 100%. HubSpot is also good. It's also user friendly, but again, it's a bit expensive, and they bundle everything together. I mean, HubSpot also has a feature kind of like Salesforce, where it's like a CRM tool, so you can do things like lead management and all that. There's one called Emma as well, which is very sophisticated as well. And there's AB Weber and Infusionsoft. Like those are all ones that, they all allow you to do automated emails.
When would you use Drip?
Why would I?
Yeah, when would you use Drip or MailChimp?
MailChimp is better. I mean, for us, like I'll tell you what we do. We use MailChimp for our normal email blasts, and we use Drip for all of our automation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to explain to you how a drip campaign works. There's basically 5 steps that you have to worry about when you're starting a drip campaign, and you'll see how it works as you're doing it. So let's say that I want to do a drip campaign. I want to have a way to automate my emails. So the first thing is I should define my goals. I should set up my inputs. I then set up an email series. Next, I set up what are called triggers. And the last thing is I track and measure. So I'm going to go over these 5 steps really quick to explain what they are. So step number 1 is I want to define what am I actually doing, right? So what is my end goal from this thing? If I have a drip campaign, I should say what is the goal? Is it just to educate them? Do I want them to eventually buy from me? Do I want them to sign up for me? So you have to have a final goal in your mind. It could be something that they buy, or it could be like another step in your funnel. One example for us is, let's say that someone sends us an email to find out more about AstroLabs. So we have basically 3 steps in our funnel. Step 1 is they find out more about us. Step 2 is they book a tour. Step 3 is they sign up for a space. So for us, maybe one goal of this campaign is to take them from learning about us to booking a tour, and then taking them from booking a tour to signing up. Right? So you have to figure out what are these steps, and what do you want them to do as a next step? Do you just want to educate them, or do you want them to actually do something? Next is you set up your inputs. So where are the emails coming from? Are they coming from someone signing up on your website? Are they coming from you uploading them? Are they coming from Salesforce or Pipedrive or one of these things? How are the emails getting onto the list in the first place? Is it if someone enters their email in a pop-up, it enters into the list? What is the starting point of this basically? Next is you want to set up your email series, which is basically what are the series of emails that I want to send to them. So do I want to send, think about what are your messaging, what further actions do you want them to take, do you want them to reply back to you? Some people do it in the way where they say, I'm going to send out emails, and if they reply back to me, then that means that, a follow-up with them again, right? Or you might say, okay, if you're interested, then you can buy this product now, or do something else, right? But you have to figure out what are these series, how many emails do you want to send, and what is the series, what is the order of the emails. Next is I set up what are the triggers. So what do I want to activate each email? So let's say, you'll see what this is as we do a live example, but basically, how do I want to send the first email? So I have a series of emails. What causes the first email to be sent? Is it them subscribing? Is it them entering their email in a pop-up window. And then what makes the next email be sent? Is it because they opened the first email? Is it because they clicked on something inside of the email? What are the triggers, or what are the things that cause an email to be sent? And this could be time-based. So you could say, okay, I want to send the first email today and the second email after 1 week. So it could be something time-based. It could be based on interaction within the email. So it could be, okay, if they click on something in the email, I'll send them a follow-up email. In the example that I told you, right? So if they open a previous email, I send them, what is the next email? Okay. It could be based on user interaction or site interaction. So an example of this is if I add a product to the cart, I get an email, right? If I'm already signed in. And it could be based on user demographic data. An example of this is if you have a user's birthday information or when their anniversary was or some special occasion, I could say, okay, on their birthday, send them a happy birthday email automatically with a discount code, right? So those are examples of possible variations of drip campaigns. Okay, and the final one is I just check how effective is that campaign that I just ran. Okay, so what we're going to do now, and you can follow me as well if you have your laptop, is let's try to set up a drip campaign on MailChimp. Why I like to use MailChimp is because MailChimp is free to set up a new account with. They don't ask you for your credit card. So it's easy if you want to just get started. And it's free if your list is under 2,000 people. So if you have less than 2,000 emails, then it's free to use. Like I said, there's better tools. I think Drip and other ones have a better open rate. But if you're just starting out, it's a good tool to use if you're just starting. So we're going to do the following. Okay, we're going to create a drip campaign that sends someone an email when they're first added to the list. Then we want to send them a second email automatically if they don't open the first email after 1 day. Okay, so we'll send the first email. We'll wait 24 hours. If they don't open that first email, I'll send them a follow-up email. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do in MailChimp. And you don't have to follow me if you don't want to, but if you want to, you can just follow on the screen. If you want to set up a new account, it'll just take a couple of minutes. You can do it on your own if you like. Just go to MailChimp.com and then sign up with a new account. So just sign up for free. I'll just give you a couple of minutes to do this for the ones that want to do it. I mean, because it'll ask you to verify your email and all that, so it might take you 2 minutes to do it. So I'll just wait a minute for you. Are there any questions before we continue? Has anyone tried these automation emails before? Okay. So what is your experience with them? Are they easy to use, or what software do you all use? MailChimp. Okay. You MailChimp as well? Yeah. Okay. While you're waiting on that, while you're signing up, I'll just show you what one of ours looks like. So yeah, not in MailChimp, but in Drip. So that's the one that I told you is a little bit more advanced.
What's the URL?
Drip.co. I think they also bought .com. It's also drip.com as well. So then I can log in. Yeah, they're not paying me to save this that I like them, but I just like them because first of all, the founders are really, they're really focused on product, and they both have podcasts if you're interested. One is called Startups for the Rest of Us. It's a podcast that one of the founders of Drip started, and the other one is called The Art of Product, and they're both interesting podcasts if you're interested. Okay, so this is what Drip looks like. What's nice about it is it tells me, it also makes me install a piece of code on my site. So it tells me stats from what is the conversion rate of my pop-ups and all these kind of things. So this tells me that in the last week or so, I had this many first-time visitors, and this many people subscribed to my newsletter from the visitors. From pop-ups.
How to get this? You have to link?
This is just installing their piece of code on your site.
On my CMS?
Yeah, which is, through Google Tag Manager or through, just installing the code.
Quick question, is there anything that MailChimp can do that Drip can't?
Well, the main thing is it has template. Like, I don't think it has.
Oh, you don't think this one has templates?
I don't think it has templates. I mean, because we mainly use it for only text emails. So it's really good for text emails. I think they just launched one that, I mean, I never used it, but they launched a feature where you can have a builder where you make it look nice. But like, I mean, like MailChimp is the best in making their emails look nice. So they have the best features that like make it look cool. But actually what you can do is actually, you can export the email from MailChimp and upload it here, if you want. So you can design it in MailChimp and then download it and then upload it here. Anyway, so like this is what it looks like here. I have a list of all of my subscribers here.
So you can actually have either one of them in your point, right?
Yeah.
You have your developer or designer, and you should book it, right?
Exactly, yeah. So like these are all of the subscribers. I can look at their activity even. So if I click on it, I mean this is something that MailChimp doesn't have, is it tells me like their whole journey. Like they were tagged as someone that lives in Saudi, they were tagged as a lead, they went on these pages. Like it tells me what pages they visited even, and how many times they came back again. So I can get a profile of individual people even, if I send them emails, which is not something MailChimp lets you do. And I can send automation emails, like I can set up, so I'll give you an example. They have something called a workflow, which is basically, it's a visual way, so like, I mean, it basically looks like this. Like I'll show you one that's already built out. I mean, it basically looks like this. So you can have a visual way where you say, okay, I send the first email, and then based on that interaction, I send a follow-up email, and I have like a decision tree, basically, of how you send out the emails. MailChimp doesn't let you do that. It's like very mechanical. Anyway, did everyone sign up for MailChimp yet that wants to do it? Okay, I'm like just gonna do it, yeah? Should I wait for anybody? Or?
No.
Okay. Okay. So let's go into MailChimp. So, okay, so what we're trying to do is basically what I listed here, which is we want to send someone an email if they're added to my list. Okay? If they're not, yeah, then if they don't open the email, I'll send a follow-up email. So the first thing is I have to create a campaign for this. So this is, I mean, like, this is an ongoing campaign, but it's still a campaign, right? So I have to click Create Campaign. And it'll tell me what do I want to create. Do I want to create an email? They also have integration with Facebook and Google, so I can create an ad. I can create a landing page, which is basically just a page where people can land on. You know, they have all this weird stuff. I don't know what a postcard is. Design and mail a postcard. Okay, I guess it's like a physical thing. I don't think it's available in the region here, but it's interesting. A sign up form, like that's the pop-up that you mentioned. So I want to just send out a normal email. So I'll choose email. And I have to make sure that I want to choose automated email here. So there's basically 4 choices. I could send out a regular email. I could send out a plain text email, which is just plain text. I could like send out an A/B test, which is like a regular email, but it sends out 2 versions of it. So I can test different subject lines or like different ad copy, so I can see which one does better. So I want to choose automated, which is the drip campaign. And the first thing that it asks me is, what is the trigger, or what is the starting point for the first email that you want to send? So in this case, what is the trigger of the first email? Yeah. So which one do I choose? Welcome new subscribers. So that's the trigger. That's the starting point of the email. Now I have to choose what list do I want to send it to. So I could make a new list or like choose a list from here. I'll just choose one of the ones that we have. Whatever. And I'll click begin. Okay, now you'll notice here that I have here, what is it? This is my welcome message. Who I'm sending it to? I'm sending it to this list. Then I say, what is the trigger? What causes this first email to be sent? Now it's being sent 1 day after they join my list. So I can edit that. I could say, instead of 1 day after they join my list, I could say, I want to send it to them right away. So I could say just as soon as they join the list, I'll send them an email. So this is immediate, right? So now, as soon as they enter their email onto my list, either through a pop-up on the website or through whatever other way of entering their email, I send them this first email. Now, if I want to send this first email, I just click on this, and I can design what the email is like. And like this is probably like the best thing about MailChimp is that it made this super easy, so anyone can do it. So the first thing is it tells me what is the name of the email. This is just for my own purpose. Then it tells me what is my subject line. And this is where I test different subject lines and all that. So I'll try different things like, you know, I don't know, welcome to our community, right? And then I can make an emoji. So in subject lines, if you have like 1 or 2 emojis, it's fine. If you have more than 2, then it's more likely to go to spam. So just try to have at least, I mean, if you want to include an emoji, it won't have a huge impact on spam, but just don't put more than 2 emojis. So I mean, yeah, if I follow what you know, Mike was saying earlier on your brand voice, tone of voice, if your brand voice was, you know, very friendly, then maybe you'll put a heart. If it wasn't, then maybe you'll put something else, right? So it depends on what is your brand voice, like what do you want to show. So I mean, you could say something like, I don't know, if you want to keep it generic, then you could like just have like a party, whatever, right? Welcome, whatever, right? You just put an emoji. Okay, but if you want it to be more friendly, then maybe write a smiley face. Okay, okay. Does anyone know what preview text is?
The first 3 lines on top.
Yeah. So this is basically like a second subject line. So if you did I close my inbox? Okay. I don't want to keep showing my inbox, but okay. But look here. See, this is the subject line. That's the preview text. See, so it's basically like a second subject line. Okay. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I mean, that's one of the things that MailChimp has, is it has this like second subject line. So it's like another thing that you could like have people, or like make them click on you, right? So I'll say here, I don't know, like something else that would want them to click on it. So I'll say maybe check out whatever, how you can get involved, right? And usually, as I mentioned, if you were here on the AdWords course, yeah, I make them capitalize. It's like just like marketing best practice for digital ads because it makes it pop up more. If I made it all, like if I did this, then that's not good because that's like shouting and it's more likely to go to spam as well. So I don't want to make it all caps. Okay, next is I say who it's from. So this is where I could say it's from anybody and nothing would stop me. I could say, like, this is from Bill Gates, right? If I wanted to. But if I do that, again, it's more likely to go to spam, right? So I have to say who it's coming from. So I'll say it's coming from Ahmed. And then for the email address, I have to enter out an email. And if I don't verify this email, it'll also be more likely to go to spam. So I have to enter an email that's an actual email. So I'll enter like my email. And then I click next. Oh yeah, here, sorry, there's a Google Analytics thing here, okay? If I want to add this, I just have to set it up in my account. I just go to my settings and I say turn on analytics. If I don't do this, okay, what does this do exactly? Does anyone know? It'll basically automatically do the UTM parameters for me. So if I tick that box, what will happen is, every URL I have on my site, it'll automatically add this. It'll say source is MailChimp, medium is email, and the campaign name will be whatever is written here. So it'll automatically take this as the campaign name. If I don't do that, and I want to use Google Analytics, then I have to tag all of my URLs manually and add it manually. So if, I mean, yeah, if you don't have, I mean, like this just makes your life easier, so I don't have to tag all of them.
This is not showing on my account.
Because you have to, no, I mean, even in the paid, like even in the free version, I think it's possible, but you have to go to your settings.
It says in tracking, track opens, Google Analytics. The Google integration must be enabled.
Oh, I guess you have to enable, I'm not sure if it's paid or not. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, question? Go back.
No, so in the initial stage it said the number of options that you got, I didn't get all of them.
Yeah, because I think, because I have a paid version. Okay. Also, then I say, you know, what is the layout that I want, and like, I mean, like, what's nice about MailChimp is it has this drag and drop builder, so I could choose one of these templates, or I could choose even like themes. They have like really nice looking themes as well, with pictures. So I can choose one of these, and all of these have a drag and drop thing in it. So I could, like, let's say that I want to choose, I don't know, this one, right? So I'll choose like this one, and it'll open up the drag and drop tool. So I can play around with it, even if I'm not a designer, right? And all of it is responsive, so it looks good on a mobile device as well.
Can you, the saved one? Can you just...
Sorry?
Which one?
I just chose a random one. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just like, I just chose any design. Should I go back, or did you catch up?
No, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so then I can come here, I can change this image if I want, I can add another image. Like, let's say that I want to have an image on top again. So I'll add another image here. And it's all drag and drop, right? So it's like really easy to create an email here. Like, you don't need to be a coder or a designer or anything. And then if you want to see how it looks, I can just go to preview here and I can enter preview mode. And it'll show me what it looks like on a desktop and on a mobile device, like this, see it? And if I enable this inbox thing, this is a paid feature, but I could basically, it'll show me what it looks like on every possible email client. So what it looks like on Gmail, on Outlook, on Yahoo, I mean, it's kind of overkill unless you're like a large company that needs to care about that, but if you're just like a small company, it doesn't really make a difference. Because most people have like a normal email client. Okay, then you save and continue, and then I'm done. Okay, so I made the first one, right? So what's happening now is the first step is done. So we did the first step, which is when someone is added to my list, I send them a welcome email. So now step one is done. They're added to my list, that's the trigger here. Once the trigger is done, I send them a follow-up email, right? So now I want to do step two, which is if they don't open the previous email, I send them a follow-up email, right? So all I have to do is just come here and say add email, and I just choose the trigger, and the trigger is based on the first one, right? So I'll say edit my trigger, and I'll choose change trigger, and I can come here and say campaign activity. I mean, I could do based on the campaign or based on the actual email, so I could say previous email not opened within 1 day. So it'll basically wait 24 hours. If they didn't open that email, it'll automatically send this email.
What's the difference between the email and the campaign?
Oh yeah, so some of them are campaign settings. So if I go back here, so I mean, in this case, they're the same, because your campaign only has one email inside of it. But this can also be used for a previous campaign that you sent. So like, let's say that you sent out your monthly newsletter. What you could do is say, I want to resend my newsletter to the people that didn't open a previous campaign. So I mean, it's the same thing, except a campaign usually, I mean, it could be a series of emails or one email. But in this case, because we only have one email, the previous campaign is just one email long. But it's the same thing. It doesn't make a difference. So that's it basically, and then you can set it up like that. And like I said, it's a bit, I mean, MailChimp is good if you're just starting off, but again, it doesn't have complicated stuff I can do. If I look at Drip, it has like I can make like a whole tree map and like different like paths that people can take. I could do it here, but it's a little bit harder to do it. Okay. Are there any questions about this? Does it make sense? Okay. Next, I want to talk about, so we're almost done. There's just a few more things that are coming up nowadays, and I recommend if you're in marketing to look into it more, because these are things that are still on like the bleeding edge, like the cutting edge of like what people are doing. And if you use this, it'll help you a lot stand out from other people. So the first thing, I mean, this is sort of related to email marketing, not directly, but in a way, is to have a live chat on your site, right? Even if you're not selling something very complicated, if you have a live chat on your site, it helps you a lot to get people's feedback. And if you use something like Intercom, it'll get their email from the live chat automatically. It'll ask them for their email. So what happens if you go to our website and you go on certain pages, something will pop up, and it'll say, can I help you today? If the person responds back, it'll then give them a short, like within the chat, it'll give them a link to enter their email address. It'll say, please enter your email address. You could also integrate this with Facebook Messenger. So I'm going to talk about this next also in the next slide, but you could also create something called a Facebook Messenger list. Has anyone heard about this before?
You told us.
Yeah, so basically what you can do is if anyone ever sends you a message on Facebook, you can save them on Facebook and send them a blast later on. So like let's say that 1,000 people sent me messages on Facebook. Like suddenly I can send those 1,000 people a blast on Facebook and it'll appear as a push notification on their phone. It's called the broadcast. So in a way, it's sort of like another form of email addresses. And I'm going to talk about some tools that can let you do this. But basically, it's like something that's coming up that's like just starting to become popular, and it's not very famous in the region yet. So if you're, one of the people that does it, like you'll be ahead of most of your competition. It's basically it's an automated thing where you can link it to Facebook Messenger. And now like if you look at open rates on Facebook Messenger, it's between 80 and 90% of people open your emails on Facebook Messenger. And that's because most people have Facebook Messenger on their phone and they have push notifications enabled. So if anyone, even a brand sends them a message, they're gonna open it. Because like they'll see it they'll say, who's this sending me a message? And they'll think it's their friend or something and they'll open it. Yeah. And they're like, yes.
How do you broadcast?
Sorry. What? Sorry.
How do you broadcast?
What?
How do you do the broadcasting?
I'll show you, yeah. So it's coming up.
So we can also, so the business owner can,
Okay.
the business owner can chat and
What?
respond to queries?
What is it? Yeah, of course, yeah. So like this, so there's two ways of doing this. So you could do it, okay, if you use something like Intercom, it'll just get their email address. It's not linked to Facebook Messenger, right? However, there are tools that I'm gonna show you now that are only reliant on Facebook Messenger. And this uses something called a messenger bot.
Yeah.
So what a messenger bot is it's a way for you to automate, it's sort of like a drip campaign, but in Messenger. So it sends automated messages to people if they respond to you. Right now, it's not that sophisticated. However, what I found works best is if you give people options. So if you say, how can I help you today? And there's like 3 options, and they just click on the option that they want. Because it's not smart enough to, if they type something to know what they're talking about. It's still not at that stage yet. It's not like, AI yet. It's not like artificial intelligence. It's just, one way of thinking about it is, it's like just a way for them to choose what they want to hear from you. So the best ones that I found work well are ones where you give them options and say, which one do you want to choose? And then, when they choose one, then you follow up with a different option. So it's very much like a drip campaign, but it's all done in Messenger. So in a way, it's sort of considered like marketing 2.0. It's it lets you build out a subscriber list inside of Messenger, and you can generate leads. You can give them lead magnets. You can broadcast messages, and it's all done in real time. So like most people have Messenger on their phone, especially like in the region here. Like the main one that I recommend to use this is one called ManyChat, it's called, and they have a free version that you can join. And ManyChat, I'll show you an example. Many, M-A-N-Y, ManyChat, not mini like small. So if I go to manychat.com, they have a free version if you're below a certain number. So if you're below I think they let you send as many broadcasts as you want for free. And they let you set up 2 sequences or 2 automation things. So I want to show you an example because I actually just started with this recently. I still didn't completely set it up. Because it's still fairly new. I don't think because on our website we have Intercom, which is it's only email. It's not with Facebook. And if you wanted to work with Facebook on your website, then you have to make the user log into Facebook before they chat with you on your site. But what I'll probably use it for is just Facebook Messenger.
You mean log in to Facebook on my website, or they're already logged in their browser?
No, they have to be logged in on your, I mean, like they have to verify on your.
There's another one, it's a really good company called Bot Society.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you can actually, it's very, it automates a lot. You can do it for Google Assistant, FB, Messenger. You can design essential templates.
Yeah.
So it uses a bit of AI, but you can also kind of do it manually.
So like this is an example of something you can do in ManyChat, where you can have it like, as soon as someone sends you a message, it'll send them like a welcome message. Then it'll give them some options here. So it'll say like, what do you want to learn about? And then each of them triggers something different. And inside of this, you can actually do a lot of stuff. I can, so let me give you an example. So these are all the options that I could have in the flow. So I could say, okay, I want to add either send them a message, or make them open a different page on my site, or even have a number they can call, or allow them to share something, or even buy something. Start another flow, or have a smart delay. I mean, you could even have it where you can make it look like you're typing. It'll have like the typing characters, automatically, and then like send them a message. So there's all this stuff that you could do that's really interesting, and it's all automated. And one more thing that you can do is on Facebook, if you notice, like let me show you this inside of Facebook Messenger, or inside of Facebook Ad Manager. So, like one cool thing about this is, I mean, like I said, I can message people that already messaged me. So like if 1,000 people message you on Facebook Messenger, all of those people are inside of ManyChat. So I can send them a broadcast for free, and it'll come as a push notification on their phone.
So all you have to do is put in your account details and it'll pull it immediately? You're like,
No, it'll only do it going forward.
oh.
So you have to set it up like as soon as possible.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, so I mean, one thing about this stuff is I can also get people to join it even if they don't send me a message. One way is there's a feature inside of ManyChat where if I post something on Facebook, I can say, if you comment on this post, you'll get an automated message from us. So like, let's say that you do, I don't know, like a live video, right? You could say, in the live video, by the way, if you comment on this video, you'll get an automated message from us with, like the presentation from today, let's say. So if anyone comments on the video, it'll open up an automatic messenger to them, and it'll say, hey, like please verify that you want to receive this presentation. And if they click verify, they'll automatically get it, and they'll be like saved as a subscriber in your database. So there's so many ways. I mean, you could just like post something normally and like just say comments, and if they comment, then they're added to your thing. If you just set it up using ManyChat.
They have to comment or only like?
No, I think it has to either be a message, or if you set it up through here, then you can do comment. But you have to set it up first. But likes is not possible. Okay, so I want to give you an example of something else that I could do as well. So if I create a new ad in Facebook, you'll notice that there's an option. Let me start again. Yeah. So there's an option here. It's called messages, right? Did anyone ever use this before? Okay, do you know what it does?
It lets the user respond back via messages.
Yeah, so what happens is it'll show them an ad on Instagram or on Facebook as a normal ad. And then if they click on the ad, it'll open up Facebook Messenger. So the reason why you want to do this is because it basically gets them as a subscriber to you. So you could say, you could try this and say, like there's this, basically use it as a lead magnet, So you could have a messenger ad, which is just like a normal ad on Instagram stories or whatever else, and say, if you want to learn more about our products, then click here. So you click there, it'll automatically, instead of taking them to a landing page, it'll take them to your Facebook Messenger. It'll open up automatically. It'll send them a message, and it'll add them to your subscriber list, and you can send them the discount code through ManyChat or one of those tools. If you want to do this in a smart way, though, you have to have a bot set up. Otherwise, it'll just I mean, like you have to be on your phone messaging them, right? If you don't, like, because if you just do this normally without setting up something like ManyChat, it'll just like send them it'll just open Messenger for them. Like it won't send them a message. So you have to be on your phone like actually messaging them. But if you set up ManyChat, as soon as they click on the ad, it'll automatically send them a message like that. And then they can follow up with it. Does that make sense? So I mean, it's like a brand new thing, and like I said, almost no one is doing it here. And it's like an untapped thing, and like I said, like the open rate is like between 80 and 90%. If you send out a message. So I highly recommend that you try it out, because
it's not, doesn't it, I mean, is it not like spamming?
I mean, they can unsubscribe whenever they want. That's the thing. They can unsubscribe whenever they want, and you know, it's only people that message you. So it's not spamming. It's only ones that already interacted with you before in some way. So I mean, if they're on the list, it's a really valuable thing to look into.
So this is much better than wasting all the time and money behind organic reach.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I mean, if you had to use Facebook, I would say focus on live content and use something like Messenger. Because I mean, Messenger it's an app that people use even if they don't have Facebook. Like, I don't use Facebook, but I use Messenger. Because I might talk to people on it, right? But I don't use Facebook as not very often. And like most people I know, I like, if you look at most people use Messenger in some capacity, more than they use Facebook itself. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, like we said, you'll get access to everything, and if you took the whole week, then you'll have a special course called the Final Diploma, where you can get your final certification for the whole week. Yeah, also we're thinking of, so there's a couple more things that I want to tell you about. One of them is, if anyone is looking for a job or to like change their role, then let me know, because we have a lot of companies here that are hiring digital marketing people, so just let me know. And we're planning to have a program, like we did it last time, where we found companies here that are looking for help, and we would set up like a temporary work thing for you to work on for them, like a temporary project. And then if they like you, they might hire you afterwards. So like already like a couple of people got hired through that program. So if anyone is interested, let me know. Last thing is,
selfie.
Yeah, we're gonna take a selfie as well. Yeah, like also one more thing is we'll probably also like do kind of like a meetup just with us and with other people that also took this course before, because now there's, I think almost 200 people took this course so far. So we'll keep doing we'll do like meetups so we can, you know, keep in touch, and also if anyone has any questions or any of that, like a networking thing. Okay, so now let's take a picture outside. Yeah.
Sorry, 2 questions.
Yeah.
When are you going to be offering this course again?
In November.
There's an advanced course coming up, that's what it is?
Yeah, no, that's like this same one that we're doing. Like we did the advanced one once, and it wasn't, like we got some people, but not as much as this one. So, but like a lot of people started asking for it, so we might do that one again as well.
Well, what would you learn in the advanced?
What?
Define advanced.
We go, like there's a whole day on growth hacking, there's a whole day on influencer marketing, there's a whole day on dashboards, reporting.
That's very technical.
Yeah, it's more technical, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You mentioned US. Are you going to be doing US?
Possibly, yeah. But that's like outside of marketing, but yeah, it's something we might do.
Yeah. I would love to